president of the United States says we have to go after the enemy within, and that if he loses an election, it's because it was rigged, his words, that the idea that we put uniformed military surrounding polling locations, for you to not understand what that means to the American public, the playbook of authoritarianism that I've seen as a CIA officer play out over and over and over again in other countries, for you not to understand that that sends a shiver down the spine of every American, and should, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, that's why there's a trust deficit, is because there are some circumstances in which you would use the military in the middle of our democracy like that. And I continue to believe it's not our uniformed military that have a problem, it's the leaders who are directing them and these missions.
So I think it's an absolute disgrace that we are impugning the integrity of our people in uniform, the integrity of this administration, and the will of the American people to live safely on their own streets. The Constitution says life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. The American people have a right to expect their government will protect them from being murdered in the street. So I'm sick and tired of the constitutional lawyers parachuting out of the rafters every day when we are doing exactly what the American people ask us to do.
Have you ever watched something unfold in Washington and thought, how did it even get to this point? Because what you are about to see is exactly that moment a seasoned politician tries to twist a national security debate into something almost unrecognizable, and then everything shifts when a Navy SEAL steps in and brings it right back to reality. This is a tense exchange between Elise Slotkin and Tim Sheehy, and it goes straight at the heart of the Constitution, national security, and what the government actually owes the American people. This is Real Talk America. If real, honest conversations about Washington matter to you, hit like, subscribe, and share so more people can be part of it. Now, let us get into what really went down.
I always find it interesting when constitutional scholars and law of the sea scholars parachute from the rafters during every Trump decision. But we're not a legal body. We're a political body. So if you want a legal body, there's one a block away of white marble. It's a beautiful building. We're a policy body. We're a political body. But just to set the record straight, to your knowledge, Mr. Young, has the president issued any illegal orders, or have illegal orders been followed in the course of the National Guard deployments to our southern border and our cities?
Senator, no, the president has not issued any illegal orders, and the Ninth Circuit has ruled in that favor.
And is the influence of transnational criminal organizations that fill our country with fentanyl, poison, various other drugs, illicit activity, human trafficking, is that a national security threat?
Yes, sir, it is. And as I said, I think we are responding to that very well in cooperation with the Department of Homeland Security.
So therefore, under a national security threat, which is unquestionably being fueled by foreign powers that do not want American values to succeed, co-opting transnational criminal organizations, they are actively attacking this country using illegal immigration, using transnational crime, and using drugs to do so. Would that be a correct statement?
It is, yes, sir.
So 70,000 Americans-ish a year are dying from fentanyl-related overdoses, are being trafficked, are being murdered and thrown under bridges by illegal immigrants and the criminal organizations related to those. That sounds like a pretty big emergency. You and I went to war for 20 plus years when 5,000 Americans were killed on and around 9/11. The number's much higher now, as they've unfortunately died from mesothelioma and other sicknesses related to what happened on 9/11, our first responders and more. I think we're almost 7,000 now, as those cancers have taken many lives. So we've settled the legal questions. What we're talking about is politics. What we're talking about is we're being told that 3 to 5 to 700, call the number whatever it is, honorable young Americans who've asked to join the military, raise their right hand, who are volunteering for these deployments, we're being told that them walking the streets, protecting Americans from being mugged, from being carjacked, like our congressmen are 2 blocks away from here. Like one of my staffers was clubbed over the head a few months ago in the ICU, woke up, stripped of all valuables. Apparently, these guardsmen on our street are a greater threat to this nation than the tens of millions of illegal immigrants that were welcomed to this country in the Biden administration. The Biden administration selectively opened our border. It was a choice. They made the choice to do that. It wasn't an accident. It was a decision that they made. And the Venezuelan boat drivers who want to bring poison to this country, they made a choice to get in that boat and drive it here. And we are making the choice. The American people made the choice last year that they're sick of it. They're tired of it, and they want an end to put to this disgusting policy that has led to the deaths of hundreds of thousands of Americans. So I think it's an absolute disgrace that we are impugning the integrity of our people in uniform, the integrity of this administration, and the will of the American people to live safely on their own streets. The Constitution says life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The American people have a right to expect their government will protect them from being murdered in the street. So I'm sick and tired of the constitutional lawyers parachuting out of the rafters every day when we are doing exactly what the American people asked us to do. If a legal order is given by the Supreme Court that this is wrong, I can promise you the administration will follow it. I hope they do, and I would expect them to. But thus far, a year into this administration, that hasn't happened, and the American people asked to be protected from these threats, and you're doing that.
Right now, one of the most serious threats facing the United States is not theoretical, it is happening every single day. Fentanyl is tearing through communities and taking tens of thousands of lives each year, and it is now front and center in the national security conversation. In this hearing, that reality sparks a much bigger question. If Americans are dying from organized criminal networks bringing drugs into the country, what is the government's responsibility? And even deeper than that, what is the first duty of government from the founding era to today? The answer has been clear: protect the safety and liberty of its people. Because without safety, nothing else holds together. This debate also cuts into something even more fundamental: the oath every service member takes to defend the Constitution, not a party, not a politician. And when that principle feels challenged, it hits hard, especially for those who have served. That is why this moment becomes so intense, because underneath the politics, there's a real clash. One side focused on protecting institutions, the other focused on protecting citizens from real-world threats like crime, drugs, and border security. And right now, those two priorities are colliding in Washington. This is Real Talk America. If you want more breakdowns like this, make sure you like, subscribe, and share. And tell me what you think. Your voice matters, and these conversations are how it gets heard.